Hello everybody! As I've mentioned previously, my kitchen is going through a little bit of a renovation. Or maybe it's a little rehab. Somewhere between a rehab and a renovation anyway. And so I haven't been able to shoot any footage in there. So this week I thought it would be a fun time to announce some exciting new content for this channel for next year. I'm planning on starting a Culinary Boot Camp series for this channel next year. And what that will be is teaching people how to cook like a professional from the ground up. So it'll be starting from picking out knives and understanding knives, and it'll work all the way through to the end. And it's going to be based on how I was taught in culinary school. And it's going to utilize not only my culinary cookbook, but a number of professional cooking texts that I have on hand, in addition to many resources online. And will be primarily what this channel is going to be for at least the next year. There will, of course, be other things because I'm going to be doing a bathroom renovation, and the lady cave just got electricity yesterday. So there will be some mudding and sheetrocking and some projects out there to do. But the Culinary Boot Camp series will be what will be posted every Friday. So all the other things that I am going to do when I have time will be posted in addition to every Friday's Culinary Boot Camp series. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I strongly suggest you do so. I've also got a new Twitter account that's going to be specifically for putting posts and information on learning to cook, and that is at Cook with Frankie on Twitter. And there will probably be some other resources. There will be a link on the www.cookingwithfrankie.com website where I hope to post some written resources. As always, if you have any questions or things that you want to learn or things that you want to make sure that I include, please do send me a message on any number of the social media platforms out there where I am, including in the comment section of this video. So in preparation for that series, I thought it would be nice for me to just discuss a little bit about my history with food and give you a little perspective on where I'm coming from. First of all, in this series, I will be skipping some of the things I learned in culinary school, which will be in another series at another time. Those include menu planning and pricing and nutrition, both of things that I have quite a bit of knowledge about, but will be on the side of the Culinary Boot Camp series. One of the things I've noticed with culinary YouTube channels is oftentimes you don't know where the host is coming from. Oftentimes they're not coming from any culinary background at all, which sometimes irritates me, especially when they don't make sure to include food safety information when they tell you to do things. So I thought I would give you a little bit of my background when it comes to food and my relationship with food. So while I tell you a little bit about my background, I will be showing you some pictures from my childhood and throughout my life to sort of give you something else to look at besides my face. I was raised on a subsistence farm in the 80s, and what a subsistence farm is a way of farming where you utilize your own crops and livestock and depend on them for feeding yourself and your family. And I would say about 90% of the food we ate was food that we grew or raised ourselves. Not only did we raise animals as food, we raised the food that our animals ate. And then in the fall, we would preserve those vegetables for use throughout the winter. And that included canning and dehydrating, smoking meats, like making sausages. Also, my mother had one of the very few natural food stores, and so we had access to a lot of natural foods. So growing up, I did not eat processed food very much at all. To go to like Hardee's, which is a fast food restaurant in the Midwest, or to Dairy Queen, which is another fast food restaurant in the Midwest, was a very big treat. But other than that, we raised everything we ate or we got it in my mom's store, and some of the time we were on some public assistance, so we got what was called commodities, which is basically government food. And then my mom was really good with coming up with creative ways to use like the powdered milk and the government cheese and the weird canned beef that we would get to sort of augment the rest of the food that we were raising. Growing up, food was also at the center of every family gathering. Everybody would bring their homemade potluck additions to the meal. My grandmother also cooked everything from scratch, and she raised like 6 children, cooking all for them from scratch on a farm in Minnesota. And so that is also part of where my passion for food comes from. So in addition to that, I was raised to appreciate animals. I was in 4-H, so I raised animals for show. In addition to showing them as you would like a cat or a dog, I also raised and showed them for meat production. And so I had a really good understanding of meat processing from a very young age. I was also part of a cow judging club where we would judge dairy cows and beef cows for certain attributes. And so I learned how to look at a cow and give you a quality judgment on it, let's just say that. So from a very young age, I had an understanding and appreciation for food. I was making bread with my mom and dad at a very young age. I grew up around both of my parents cooking from scratch all the time. And that was until I was about a teenager. And then after that, my parents divorced and my dad moved my brothers and I to a big city. And we started eating a little bit more processed food. And at that point, I started putting on a little weight. I was always a big child, like a very typical farm child. But once we moved to the big city, I started putting on a little bit of more unhealthy weights, and I still did a lot of cooking. I would still make different foods that I had been exposed to that I had never heard about before, like Chinese food, egg rolls and things like that. And I would cook for my brothers because I was primarily responsible for taking care of them. So I was cooking and feeding them, but also using a lot of processed food. And then as time went on and I became an adult and I moved out, I ate even more processed food and I became very, very unhealthy and gained a large amount of weight. And it wasn't until about 2004 that I started learning about nutrition in a new way and started following an Atkins diet. Now, this is not going to be like a speech about why Atkins is better and why low carb is better. But the one thing I will say about any low carb diet is it does cut out a lot of processed food, which is scientifically proven to be healthier. While I was in school at the time for communications and fine arts, I met somebody in another country, and so I moved there to Canada, where I actually switched my major to human nutritional science. And I studied human nutritional science at the university level for about 1.5 years. And so when I approach food and cooking now, I have a really good understanding of what is good and what isn't good as far as nutrition and how to make a balanced meal and how important certain nutrients are and how you can form other nutrients by combining 2 different foods. For example, if you're a vegetarian, you probably know that if you combine rice and beans, you get a complete protein. So I learned a lot about food in that way, but I was really, really focused on cooking and things like that. And I would spend all of my off time not studying, poring over cookbooks and planning dinner parties for my boyfriend at the time and his family. And it became clear to me that maybe culinary school would be a better use of my time. So I decided to go to culinary school and pursue culinary arts instead. Part of a culinary arts degree also includes what they call co-op, so you spend your summers working in kitchens for hands-on experience in kitchen environments. And so my first co-op was at an Italian restaurant. My second co-op in my second year of culinary school was at a retirement home. So that was more commercial kitchen, like industrial cooking. Following culinary school, I started a catering company, and I did some catering for a couple years before ultimately starting to volunteer at a soup kitchen, low-cost grocery service in the city I was living in, and they had hired me to teach nutrition to the new moms. And so I started off on a volunteer basis teaching nutrition to moms and toddlers, and then they decided to hire me to have me in charge of the food services. One of the things that they offered at this soup kitchen was a breakfast that you could pay $1 for. And so I was in charge of creating the menu that would change every day for that service, in addition to helping order the food and also running a low-cost grocery service that they ran out of the facility that they were operating out of. And then I got hired to work in a kitchen at a university, and the kitchen there was for faculty and staff. It was high-end food, and so I did all manner of work in the kitchen there. There was only me and one other person, so there was a lot of different jobs for me to do, which I absolutely loved. And that job didn't actually last very long, because then I had to move back to the United States because my work permit expired due to some of the rules in Canada. Following that, I have done some caterings for holidays like Valentine's Day in a few different states in the Midwest. And ever since culinary school, I have also had quite a few dinner parties for friends back when I lived in Canada. And I would make very elaborate meals and come up with really well thought out menus, and there was never a complaint. So I still maintain a strong relationship with food, and I really enjoy cooking. So that kind of sums up my experience with food. And I always want to inspire people to do their own cooking because it's so much better and healthier. I really feel that if people have a good basic knowledge and good information and somebody who might be able to inspire them, that they can cook a lot of their own meals and become healthier because of it. And that is at the base of my Culinary Boot Camp series. I missed a few things in my background. I feel like there was probably some things I left out in my excitement to tell you about my experience and my upbringing when in relation to food and animals. But I hope this gives you a little bit of understanding on where I'm coming from when I talk about food, and also provides a little bit of information on my qualifications to teach cooking. One of the interesting things I remember from culinary school, and it didn't even occur to me until I started this channel, was that in the first year when you take basic prep, the instructor after that first class will take you into his office and he will tell you where he sees you placed in the culinary world. And at the time, what he said to me, I thought was confusing and completely off base, because what he said to me was, I can see you in front of a camera. And that was absurd because I had never been in front of a camera. As a matter of fact, I have never really been in front of a camera until I started this YouTube channel. So the other day I was thinking about how funny it was that here I am now in front of a camera teaching people how to cook. Maybe I found what I'm supposed to do. One of the reasons I didn't go into professional cooking and work in a lot of kitchens post-graduation was that I have a very severe back injury that actually impacted my physical ability during my education, so much so that I had an instructor pull me aside and tell me that he didn't think I was going to be able to make it in a professional kitchen because my back problems were already too severe. And if anybody knows anything about a professional kitchen, you know that it is literally back-breaking work. Like, it is hard on your body. And because of my back problem, because of a car accident, I was already at a disadvantage And that broke my heart. And he told me that I was gonna have to find something else to do in the culinary world. Ultimately, I don't get paid anymore for cooking or anything like that, but I will never ever consider my culinary education to be a waste of money or a waste of my time. Everything I learned there makes me better at cooking at home now and cooking for those I love. When people come visit, I always make them a home-cooked meal. And I did have a lot of skill going into culinary school. I would make elaborate dinners for friends and family. The one thing that culinary school provided me was the skills so that I could do what I was already doing much, much faster. I can use fresh, good ingredients and not eat processed and packaged foods. To me, I will never feel bad or regret having gone to culinary school. I know some of you have come from my social media feeds, and having read my blogs over the years, you know quite a bit about me. But this is really for all the new people who may have found my channel and who are like, what makes this woman think that she can teach me to cook? Or what makes her qualified to tell me things about food and nutrition? And this video today is to explain why I think that I have the qualifications to talk to you about cooking and food and nutrition and all the wonderful things that surround that. I hope you liked my video today. I'm hoping to get back in the kitchen soon. Hopefully the next week's video will be my kitchen reveal. It really depends on a couple different things. I'm still waiting on an appliance, and then I have to wait for the gas people to come and hook up that appliance. So next week's video may be a kitchen reveal or a product taste test. I'm not sure. I just know that I can't do any shooting in my kitchen until the big day. So thank you for watching my video today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't subscribed, like I said, subscribe now so you don't miss out on the Culinary Boot Camp videos starting at the beginning of the year. And also thumbs up if you like this video or any other videos on my channel. And as always, have a fantastic day.